some people are saying that first and foremost, what court, reinstated Mr. Mena? They say that the Federal High Court doesn't have jurisdiction over employment matters, that it's the National Industrial Court. Is that true?
Well, there is this argument. I actually haven't seen the order. And to be honest, I don't even know where the order was obtained, whether it was the Federal High Court or National Industrial Court. But given the situation, given the circumstance of the case, I do not think at this material time the order of the court is the fact in issue. Because the court did not say reinstate him. The court made a declaration that sack was not in accordance with the law. Now, but he cannot be forced on the federal government. He's assuming that the court made that order for him to be, the court made that declaration that the sack was illegal. The government is still at pleasure whether to retain him or that he's an excess or liability to the government. Like what my colleague over there is saying, the agencies and departments of government in this administration are adverse to each other. The office of the EFCC and Attorney General that are supposed to be collaborative are adverse to each other. The other day, the EFCC even attempted to arrest a former chief of the State Security Services.
Which is where we're turning our attention to now. What do you make when you saw that, the pictures on TV, the DSS parked right in front of the residences of one of the chiefs, and the EFCC trying to get through the barrier that has been imposed? What did you make of it?
I was very, very afraid. As a matter of fact, it was at that point I felt we have come to the crossroad where the president will have no excuse but to act. The EFCC was wrong to have attempted to arrest a former chief of the Department of State Services. All the security agencies of the country are supposed to work together. Now, if you look at the National Securities Intelligence Act, that act, if you look at the powers of National Intelligence Agency and Department of State Security Services, they are accountable to the president. Now, when you got that order to enforce the order, you knew that being a former service chief, he is under security for life. As a matter of fact, in some cases, even the residence, the house where he's staying, is supposed to be a state house because it's a national security asset. So he could have been guarded at all times, not just because you want to enforce the order. How could you send men with guns? Because when you send men with guns to support your operatives, what you are saying is that they can use the gun where necessary if what they want to carry out is going to be resisted. On the other hand, on ground, there are men with boots who also are armed and are empowered to resist any attempt to arrest him, but to protect his life. Were it not for the divine intervention of God, any of these overzealous service chiefs, if one had released a trigger, we would have had a massive casualty there. The EFCC is wrong in this circumstance because what the EFCC is doing is attempting to go through the back door to audit the Department of State Services, for which EFCC has no powers if you look at our law. And I will refer you to the Section 3 of the National Intelligence Agencies Act, the principal officers. It says in subsection 2A, in the case of the State Security Service and the National Intelligence Agency, they will be responsible directly to the president. And that is why even by convention, the Auditor General of the Federation does not audit these agencies because most of their operations are covered. By the time EFCC delve into that arena, what it's saying is that you are throwing national security to risk. And therefore, okay, think of this situation. Let me give you an analogy. The State Security Services, by law, they detect and prevent any form of crime. That's what the law says. Any form of crime that affects internal security. Assuming they get an intel that operatives of EFCC are now conniving with individuals who have looted the funds. You have heard recently that there's even going to be a Senate hearing on the properties recovered so far because there's an allegation that these properties are being relooted.
Even though we hear from the EFCC that there's no such thing. These were the properties allegedly recovered from Mena. Mena recovered them from pension fund looters and then in turn handed them over to the EFCC. And the EFCC says there's no such thing. However, the Senate Ad Hoc Committee says there are 222 properties and that they have been relooted.
Thank you.
Isn't it all confusing?
It's confusing. So assuming that the DSS gets the intel and then think of or imagine a situation where the DSS will now send their men armed to the EFCC headquarters to arrest any of the operatives? Are you not likely going to have a fracas? Security agencies are supposed to collaborate. As a matter of fact, Section 1 of the EFCC Act, the Department of State Services and NIA are part members of EFCC.
But some people will say that the seed for this had been sown a long time ago. We saw the reports written by the DSS over the acting EFCC chair. He's still in acting capacity to the Senate. We understand that there were 2 letters. And we still have not been able to get any clarification as to what precisely informed the writing of 2 letters, 2 separate letters to the Senate over the person and the integrity of the EFCC chair.
As for the letter, now, I don't know the veracity of the letter, but as for the letter, it was leaked. It was in the public domain. And one of the allegations was that when they performed a sting operation on a private citizen, they discovered documents belonging to EFCC. In fact, documents belonging to the chair of EFCC. And that is one of the reasons that formed the opinion that he is not credible. Now, whether that is true or not is what I don't know. But that is the premise. And to me, without prejudice to what the DSS has done by ensuring that he is not confirmed, I don't think it is material for EFCC to refocus its energy towards the security agencies rather than continuing with the good work they are doing as far as private citizens and public officials are concerned.